Today, I want to share a story with you. She sat in my Zoom space and shared these words. Years ago, I had just finished a long day work, kids, errands, exhaustion, life. I walked in the door carrying groceries with one hand, holding my toddler with the other, and my partner, Mr. Calm, Cool, and Covert, was sitting on the couch scrolling through his phone. I'm juggling bags and babies, and as I pass by, he says, "Wow, guess we're just letting the house go now, huh?" That's it. One line. But instantly, my heart raced. My face got hot, and the shame flooded in. You see, here's the thing. He knew. He knew I was already feeling overwhelmed. He knew the house wasn't perfect that day. He knew that comment would hit every insecurity I had about not being good enough. And just like that, I took the bait. I snapped back. Seriously? Do you have any idea how hard I've been working today? Maybe if you got off the couch for 5 minutes and helped before I could even finish. He stood up, hands in the air like he was under arrest, and he said, "Whoa, wow, why are you so angry all the time? This is why we can't have a peaceful evening." And there it was. I had officially become the problem. He threw the match, and I burned. And now I was left cleaning up both the groceries and my own emotional mess. Welcome back to the Covert Narcissism Podcast, where we shine a light on the hidden emotional traps that leave you questioning your sanity. Today, we're talking about baiting, the covert narcissist's favorite game of emotional chess, except the board is rigged and you're the only one that's playing fair. So, what is baiting? Empathy is one of those words that we all kind of get. But baiting? Baiting is even trickier because most people don't even realize it's happening until they are knee deep in an argument that they didn't want to have in the first place, and they really don't even know how they got there. So let's define it. Baiting is when someone deliberately provokes you to get an emotional reaction out of you. They poke, they prod, they make snide remarks, all with one goal: to get you to react, explode, cry, or defend yourself. So now they can sit back and act like the victim to your craziness. It's psychological warfare, but it's dressed up as sarcasm, jokes, passive aggressive digs, and even concern. It's like emotional fishing. They throw out a line, dangle the hook, and wait for you to bite. And when you do, they sit back and act shocked. "Whoa, why are you so upset? I was just joking." The worst part? Most of the time, these comments are subtle enough that if you repeat them to someone else later, they sound harmless. That's part of the trap. You sound petty when you try to talk to someone else about this. When you try to describe what's going on, people don't get it, but yet you live it over and over again. Let me give you a few examples. You've been running around all day, work, kids, errands, and you finally sit down for 5 minutes. That's it. 5 minutes, the first time you've sat down all day. And they casually say, "Must be nice to do nothing while I handle everything around here," conveniently ignoring the fact that you've been going nonstop since sunrise. Or you're headed out the door to meet a friend for coffee, a friend that you haven't seen in months and you're eager to go visit with. And as you grab your keys, they sigh dramatically and say, "It's fine. I'll just be here alone, like always." Guilt trip delivered. Here's another one. You're at a family gathering. Everyone seems fine. Then out of nowhere, in front of everyone, they laugh and say, "Oh, don't ask her about that. You know how sensitive she gets." Well, now cue the awkward silence, the forced laughter from others, and you're sitting there feeling, what, exposed, humiliated? And if you say anything back, now you're the one that's being reactive. Here's a classic one. You walk into a room, and they say with a smirk, "Wow, you're actually on time today. Must be a special occasion." Well, why say that? That one sentence, and now you're on the defense. Now you're explaining yourself or justifying yourself, which is the baiting. Let's not forget the passive aggressive home critic. You've spent the entire day cleaning, finally feeling proud of yourself, and they walk around kind of glancing and go, huh, I guess this is better than usual. Ouch. These little moments, these little comments, they seem small on the surface, but not when you're living it every day. Not when you're dealing with this sometimes on the hour. Over time, these become landmines that are scattered all over your daily life. And the goal is always the same, to get you to react. Because once you do, then they flip the story. They get to play the victim, and you're left feeling like the unstable one. You're the one that's being unreasonable. You're the one causing a scene. Now, why do they do this? Why go through all this effort to get a rise out of you? Because they benefit from your reaction on multiple levels. And I want to break this down. Those levels are emotionally, psychologically, and even socially. So, what are these benefits? The first benefit they get is they get to flip the script. You see, the covert narcissist's biggest fear is being exposed, being seen as the difficult one, being seen as the problem, being vulnerable, being judged and critiqued. So, what better way to avoid that than to get you to be the one who looks irrational? You are now the one that's gone off, or you are the one making a big deal out of something that they can blow off. So, when you snap, when you cry, when you raise your voice, they stand back. They throw their hands up and say, see, this is what I deal with. This is why I act the way I do. Look how impossible you are. Suddenly, you're the aggressor. You're the problem. You're the unstable, emotional one. Them, they're the poor, calm victim, just trying to live peacefully with someone who's always overreacting. Number two is it gives them control of the narrative. Covert narcissists are obsessed with controlling how others perceive them. And so this is another way that they control that. If they can provoke you into an emotional meltdown, then they can tell others, I try so hard, but no matter what I do, she just snaps. I never know what mood I'm walking into with him. One little thing and he's raging again. Because you're reacting to their abusive behavior, to their baiting. Now, let's be honest, when they retell the story, they conveniently leave out the bait part. The part that they dangled in there in the first place, that part doesn't exist. It's like if a story has parts A, B, C, and D, they're going to pull out just the part they want. They're going to pull out C, which is your reaction. They're going to forget that A and B even happened. That doesn't matter. That's not important. It's only your reaction. That's what matters. So to your friends, your family, your coworkers, you start looking like the difficult one. They look like the long-suffering partner who just wants peace. This is what? Reputation management, narcissistic style. Number three, for their benefits, is emotional regulation at your expense. See, here's a dark truth. Covert narcissists are emotionally dysregulated inside. They're full of insecurity, shame, resentment, and inner chaos. But instead of dealing with those feelings internally, they dump them onto you. By getting you to explode, they experience this temporary emotional release. It's like, I feel bad inside, but if I can get you to react, then I get to project all of that negativity onto you, and now I don't have to sit with it. You do. It's like you become their emotional punching bag, their pressure valve, their mood regulator. They feel calmer once you're upset. But suddenly, again, the focus is on your reaction, not their internal dysfunction. The fourth benefit they get is they crave the drama, even if they pretend otherwise. Have you ever had that covert narcissist in your life say, oh, I hate drama. I can't stand it. I don't like being around people who are just being dramatic. You'll hear those words, I just want peace. I can't stand conflict. But here's the thing. What does their behavior show? Their behavior is a totally different story. Drama gives them life. It makes them feel powerful. It breaks the monotony of their own emotional emptiness. When you react, they get attention. When you get upset, they feel important. When you crumble, they feel in control. So yes, they get emotional gain from this drama that they just stirred up. Number 5 is it reinforces the trauma bond. Every time you take the bait and every time they twist the narrative, you become more emotionally dysregulated yourself. Well, okay, they want that. You start doubting your reality, your perceptions. You start apologizing for your reactions. You go into that fix it mode that we talk about. You start feeling like you're walking on the thinnest eggshells around. Well, this deepens the trauma bond because now you're not only trying to manage their moods, you're managing your own shame and confusion too. This just keeps you deeper embedded into that trauma bond. The harder that you work to fix things, the more control they have. So when we ask, why do they bait you? The real answer is because it works. It gives them emotional power, narrative control, social cover, psychological relief, and all of this at your expense. So why do we keep taking the bait? If you're sitting there thinking, why do I keep falling for this? Why do I keep reacting? I want you to hear me when I say this. It's not your fault. You've been conditioned to take this bait. Over time, covert narcissists train you to defend yourself at every turn. And this starts with small things, making the comment about, oh, you're wearing that tonight. And you don't catch that there's a problem, but you start defending yourself. You don't catch that it's baiting or a, snide remark like what we're talking about. Instead, you're like, what's wrong with what I'm wearing? Tell me, I'll go fix it. I want to look good. And so we just start making these adjustments. We're walking through life with them on emotional eggshells, but we don't realize it. We start dodging these little jabs and constantly trying to prove. Prove what? That we're a good partner, that we don't overreact, that we're not crazy. And here's the really sinister part. Sometimes they bait you right after a good day, right after things felt almost normal. And it's like they can't stand the peace for too long. They need the chaos. They need the control. They need you reacting. So how do we stop taking this bait? You start by calling it what it is. You call it bait. You mentally step back and go, oh, this is a setup. And then you make a different choice. Some of the tools that help is the gray rock method. You become boring, giving them nothing to feed on. Just okay, or and shrug and move on. One of my favorite words became noted. And you respond in these simple ways, okay? But don't take the bait. Don't take the bait in regards to how it makes you feel on the inside. Stand in your own truth. Maybe delay your response. When you feel triggered, pause. You don't have to respond right in that moment. Trust me, silence is powerful, and it's okay to take a few minutes. Script your own boundaries. Prepare lines in advance, such as, I'm not going to engage with that. Or we can talk later when this feels more respectful. Visualize the hook that they are trying to put inside of you. Sometimes I imagine a literal fishing hook dangling in front of me, and I picture myself, instead of biting that hook, stepping to the side and let it swing right past me. I'm not taking that bait. So these are healthy tools for handling the baiting, okay? Emotionally mature ways of dealing with this. But I want to just actually do something I don't usually do on the podcast. And I want to give you maybe some unhealthy ways of dealing with the baiting. Because let's be real for a second. There's a part of you, probably buried under years of emotional exhaustion, that secretly dreams of giving that perfect snarky comeback. You imagine dropping a one-liner so sharp, so cutting that they'd sit there speechless, mouth open, questioning all of their life choices. So, just for fun, here are some sarcastic, dark humor responses that you might want to say the next time they bait you. Now, for your own emotional safety, I don't advise this, so let's put the disclaimer here. These are not what you're going to actually say to them. Maybe just play them in your head, okay? Or text them to your best friend later. But having some humor inside of you will help you to combat the baiting that's going on in your life. So here are some examples of a bait and your response. So here's the bait. Wow, you're in a mood today. Your response? Yep, and lucky you, you're on the guest list. The bait is, I was just joking. Why do you always take things so seriously? Your response? Oh, sorry. Next time I'll laugh at my own emotional trauma. Hold on, let me practice. Ha, ha, ha. The bait. You're so sensitive. Your response. Thank you. I've worked really hard to develop a fully functioning nervous system. You really should try it sometime. The bait. Are you really going to wear that? Your response. Nope. I was thinking of going out in a full clown costume, but thanks for your fashion expertise. The bait. You're overreacting. Your response? Oh, don't worry. If I was actually reacting proportionately to everything you've put me through, we'd both need helmets and evacuation plans. The bait. Wow, calm down. Your response. You're right. Let me just flip my internal switch from deeply traumatized by years of emotional manipulation to totally chill and unaffected. Hang on a second. The bait. I guess I'm just the bad guy again. Your response. Oh, don't be silly. Villains at least own their behavior. You're more like the passive-aggressive narrator of my downfall. The bait. If you don't like it, leave. Your response. Tempting. Do you validate parking for emotional baggage, or is that extra? The bait. You're imagining things. That's not what I said. Your response. You're right. I must have hallucinated that entire conversation. My bad. The stress-induced memory gaps, they really spice up my day. The bait. Oh, great. Here we go again. Your response. Yes, and welcome back to another episode of Reacting to Your Nonsense. Stay tuned after the break for more gaslighting and deflection. Now, are these responses emotionally mature? Nope. Are they trauma-informed communication? Nope, not at all. Are they fun? Yes. Are they satisfying to imagine while you smile sweetly and choose not to engage at all? Absolutely. Because the real win comes when you don't take the bait at all. So enjoy your own humor going on inside of you. Hold on to that. You smile, you nod, you let them flounder in their own awkward silence, and you keep your peace. I wish you so much peace on your journey of healing. The information provided by Renee Swanson, Covert Narcissism Podcast, and CNG Life Coaching is for educational purposes only and is not to be used for diagnosis purposes. It is not intended to be a substitute for clinical care. Please consult a health care provider for guidance specific to your case. This material discusses narcissism in general. Renee shares stories from her personal experience as well as from those she has talked with for several years. Her material does not claim that any specific person has narcissism and should not be used to refer to any specific person as having narcissism. Permission is not granted to link to or repost this material to support any allegation or claim that any specific person is a narcissist. That would be an unauthorized misuse of the material and information provided.